Let's say you're self-realized, whatever that means, but let's say you're established in presence, or you're established in awareness, or you're abiding as the self, capital S. Those fancy terms that point to enlightenment or self-realization. If that is your only experience, meaning that that's your only focal point, which if it totally resonates for you, that's totally great. It can either be a phase that you're into, that you're going through, or it can actually be part of your makeup, but there's not many people for which this is actually their makeup to forever just rest as their self and let that be their 99% focus. Yes, there are those people for which that is actually relevant and for which that actually works, but it is my safe estimation that for most of you, that is not relevant. So in other words, if that is all you have and it's not relevant for you, it in a sense disables you from running, let's say, as an analogy. It disables you, prevents you from being able to run. You're just being able to sit, in a sense, as an analogy. Whereas if self-actualization is all you know, let's say you're into empowerment, you're into law of attraction, you're into creating your dream life, you're into being relational with the world, if that is all you have, then in a sense, you're going to burn yourself out one day. You're going to be running too fast without the, in a sense, legs that can sustain that, without the endurance to sustain that type of running. So for me personally, and I see this in many, many people that I work with and at retreats and all that, is that to have both, to both be focused on self-realization, to have at least some extent of that, allows you to run, but with the endurance you need to actually do the running. In other words, with the clarity you need, with the confidence you need, with the stability that you need, the faith, the level of faith and surrender that you need, a level of consciousness that is aware of itself beyond just the personality. The I am this level, where it is person beingness, it's impermanent, it's focused experiencing, it's always focused on things. It's referential, it's always referencing things. And it is that of subject objects, plural. So if you're always in that state of mind, if that's all you know yourself to be, is that person consciousness, the I am this, pointing to the body mind, for this, being this inside of a world, if that is all you really know yourself as, and then you start working with teachings that are about affirmations or confidence or empowerment or even authenticity or law of attraction, those type of things, then you don't have the fuel that you need to get very far in those types of realizations or actualizations. Ideally, one is somewhat resonant with both. Now you can be resonant with one more than the other at this timing. That's completely fine. But over time, these two become one perfect blend. They become simultaneous. So the I am this is what most people know themselves to be. It's I am this, body-mind, inside of a world. That's our common mode of understanding and feeling ourselves. If you look a little further and you look at the I section, the awareness section, you see that in a diagram, the awareness wraps itself around presence energy, which is the presence of creation, which is the presence, the energy that makes up everything that is, the isness of creation, including your body-mind individuality. So it is awareness that, in a sense, wraps itself, infuses the presence energy with its own power, its power of cognizance, its power of knowingness. That which, if you just relax right now for a moment, just take a deep breath and give away your thoughts. Disown yourself for just a moment. Disown everything you think you know about yourself. Give it back to God. Give it back to life. Give it back to creation. Don't hold on to any kind of self-knowledge, any kind of thinking. Take a deep breath and sort of become more spacious. Be the space within which all of this appears. And notice that there is an awareness of this moment. There's a cognizance, a knowingness. You are aware of my voice. You've never been able to escape that awareness. You've never been able to have an experience without that spacious awareness, being aware of it, being wrapped around the experience. So in whatever way presence energy forms itself or presents itself to you as awareness, that awareness will be automatically, inseparably infused into that experience. You can see that awareness wraps itself around presence energy, meaning creation. So all of creation, all portions of creations are aware. All portions of existence are conscious. And I call it consciousness there, if you see in the thin sort of sphere that surrounds the presence energy. I write down consciousness, referring to the fact that awareness now is aware of something. There is a subject-object relationship. The subject being awareness. The object being, depending on the level of consciousness, either I am, at which stage the object is presence itself, this moment itself, creation itself, essence itself, substratum itself, isness itself. But if that further individualizes itself and that same awareness collapses itself around a singular sort of focal point within presence energy, so out of all that presence energy creates, if you just focus on one localized portion inside of that presence energy and you look at that for a while, which we've all been doing, we call it the body-mind, then at some point you start feeling, or awareness starts generating this base identity feeling, I am this. It's kind of logical, no? If you keep staring at something, you just become identified with it. You start to feel it as if it's yours. So on a sort of universal scale, awareness in all these different multiplications, in all these different individualizations, have become, at different focal points, identified with the sense of I am this, something specific inside of all that is. Hence creating the sense of separation. Because if I am this, I am not everything else that is also part of the same presence energy. And as many scientists and physicists will tell you today and confirm from their experiments, is that from the point of view of presence energy, there is no boundaries. You do not end at your skin. You do not start at your heart or brain. There is no way to separate one place in time from another place in time. From the level of presence energy, seen from the level of presence energy, all that is one energetic being. It's one presence. You cannot make any distinction. Well, you can make distinctions, but you can't separate one portion out of all that is and then say, well, this is not all that is. This is somehow separate from all that is. But if awareness, which is what you are, wraps itself around the personality, around the body-mind enough times, and starts seeing through its eyes, and starts bumping itself into objects, and start being referred to itself by a name, and people start looking at this focal point when they call your name, and then they expect you to respond from here to there. When that happens many times over, that starts to condition the sense, I am this. Now again, if that is all we know ourselves to be, right? So if we don't dabble at all into sort of going back into our source, merging into our essence, as the Tao said, if all we do is have a mind filled with thoughts and we're identified with our own perceptions, if we can't let that go for just 2 to 5 seconds, 12 times a day, then we really honestly have very little business dabbling in things like confidence or empowerment or manifestation or living in attunement or in alignment with your true self. Yes, to an extent, you can definitely do that, but you will fail. You shall fail. Sorry. And I think that's where many people's disappointment comes from. You know, this whole thing that happened like 10 years ago, like The Secret and Law of Attraction became like mainstream popular practice, and now everyone is just tired of it. Everyone is just sad. Everyone's just depressed again. They had hope for a couple of years, but then, they kept fighting for maybe another couple of years, but then they gave up. And again, they were betrayed by all that is. So we're all left with that sense of happiness is impossible. Happiness is not true. Happiness is just an idea. It's not what's relevant. Let's dabble into other types of spiritual practices that work only with the shadow side of ourselves, or that are like real and sincere and serious and actually lead to something. Well, yes, and happiness is a real thing. It still is. That's the good news, huh? Happiness is a very real thing, and it's very manageable, actually. It's very achievable. It's very discoverable. We just have to look in the right places. We have to know how to understand existence. That's really all we need to do. And it's not that hard. It's not that difficult, especially now that I'm here. It's very easy. And the academy is here. So I make it easy on you guys. I had to figure this all out, It took me many years, but hey, here you go. So